Hey, welcome back to Model Train Outsider, Episode 6. I'm Anthony Dodge, and today I'd like... Are you going to interrupt every episode?
Probably.
Why? Why can't you just let me do my show?
Because as you are so fondly of pointing out, I'm the one who started this. I'm the one who got us into this. I have ideas, thoughts, memories that should be shared with all the people watching out there.
Well, that's not going to work today. Today I want to talk about the German rail system and a little bit about how it's different from the American rail system.
Hang on there.
Well, what now?
But that's still me. That's still on me. The dreamer. The one who in 2002 was invited to start an exchange program and jumped on it without a second thought. I even went home and said, honey, we're going to Germany. I didn't say, honey, would you like to start an exchange program? It was, we're going to Germany. That's on me. So I think I'm the one who should get to talk about it.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Fine. The camera's yours.
Well, of course it is. We bought it in 2015. All right. So, my show today. Just a quick explanation of the German rail system. The German rail system is owned by the federal government of Germany, and it's called Deutsche Bahn. And Deutsche Bahn owns all the track in Germany. The federal government owns all the track in Germany. And Deutsche Bahn regulates the train traffic, all trains, public passenger traffic, as well as freight traffic through all of Germany. So, let's just briefly give it, because this is what I'm modeling. This is what my dream layout is going to be about. Not only a specific town that I did the exchange program with, but also the train system in Germany. So, the train system in Germany has three parts. It has the federally run transportation, it has privately run transportation, and then freight. And whenever anybody's using the tracks, the passenger service programs get priority. The freight has to wait. All right, so the passenger service, the public transportation service in Germany, is divided into two parts. There is the high-speed traffic and the regional slower traffic. Now, the types of trains Germany runs for high-speed traffic, and the federal government, Deutsche Bahn, runs all high-speed traffic. They control all of the high-speed trains. You start with the EC, which I'm not going to talk much about. That's the Euro City Express. That's high-speed traffic going across Europe. And I've been on one EC train. The primary high-speed train in Germany is called the ICE. And there are four variations of it. ICE1, ICE2, ICE3, ICE4. The ICE4 being the newest, which just came out in late 2016. All right. You can tell German high-speed trains by their white color with a red stripe. Here is a picture of an ICE2, which really isn't much different than an ICE1. ICE1 was just the first version. And here is a picture of an ICE3, which is the most commonly used one. Now, the ICs, the Intercity Express, don't call them ICE trains. A lot of people do. They're not ICE trains. They're ICE. They run through the main cities and stop at some of the smaller cities. They go the fastest. They make the fewest stops going across country. Now, right below the ICEs are the ICs. And there's the the IC1 and the IC2, which is a new double-decker train, which just started running about 4 years ago in Germany. And we were just recently on one of those, and they're gorgeous. But those make more stops. They don't go as fast, and they make more stops at middle-sized towns. But again, the key difference between an ICE and an IC is the ICEs make fewer stops and can go faster. All right. Below the high-speed trains are the regional trains, in German Regiobahn. Now, Regiobahns in Germany are divided into public and private companies. The public, owned by DB, is always recognizable by their red coloring here, and there's many different types of trains, and maybe do a video on those later. The Deutsche Bahn Regiobahns are red with a white stripe, or yellow to show first-class cars. And then there are all these private companies, and these private companies go to the stops and the towns that the main company, Deutsche Bahn, either doesn't go to or doesn't go to enough for the local population. So private train companies will run these routes and go to these smaller towns that the larger company decided just wasn't feasible to do more than once a day, twice a day, or 4 times a day, whatever the situation is. The private companies will run those routes and also go to the big company or big cities. All right. So that is the German rail system. It is very efficient. Yes, there are delays. Yes, there can be problems. But overall, it's very easy. And the nice thing is, if you buy a ticket for Deutsche Bahn, it works on the private train companies. Now, the private train companies are regional. For example, in the north, there's the Metronome. It's actually based out of a town called Uelzen, but really it handles traffic from Hamburg to some of the bigger nearby cities and smaller towns. This is a Metronome, and like I said, they're based in Hamburg. There is Nordwestbahn, which covers traffic between Bremen, Osnabrück, and some other towns. And again, you need a map of Germany. Along the Rhine, in the Alps, and throughout Germany, there's all these regional private companies, way too many to list. But the nice thing is, if you buy a ticket for the private company, it still works on the Deutsche Bahn trains. If you buy a ticket for Deutsche Bahn, regional traffic, it works on the private company trains, because basically you're buying to run a route, not necessarily to run a particular train. So if you buy a ticket to go to, let's say, Bremen to Hamburg at 9:40, you might ride a Metronome. If you take a train at 10:10, it might be a Regiobahn, a German Deutsche Bahn Regiobahn. That's it. That's the German train system. So you got the high speed, you got the local traffic. The local traffic's divided between the Deutsche Bahn government run and the private companies. But you can always tell Deutsche Bahn, the high speeds are white with a red stripe, the regionals are red with a white stripe. And then the private companies are all different kinds of colors. Tend to be in the blue and yellow liveries. So that's a quick rundown of the German train system. Over to you. All right. Not bad, have to admit. That wasn't bad. Now, just briefly, why is the German rail system so attractive? And maybe the English system as well, or pretty much any other country. Well, the difference is this. In England, Germany, and most other successful rail companies, there's 2 things. Well, number one, they never left the rail system. They have never stopped using the rail system as a form of mass transportation, not just freight transport. In America, we built the superhighways in the 1950s, and that ended any hope of passenger trains being a primary mode of transportation. Yes, we still have passenger train systems across the U.S., but it is a very small percentage of Americans who use them. We hop in our cars and drive. We book flights to go across the country. And part of that's fair because our country's a heck of a lot bigger than any of these other countries that have nationalized rail systems. Even with that, I think our rail system could be better. But in Germany, England, and these other countries, as I mentioned, the rail system is owned by the government. All the tracks are owned by the
government. So if you look at these two rail system maps of the United States and Germany, you can see that in Germany, there's a lot more track in a limited space than there is in America. Secondly, the American rail system, the tracks are owned by several private companies. Each company owns a certain mileage of the track. And each company charges any other company a fee to use their track. And thus, because they own the track, they decide what trains and what transport go across at what times. So they give precedence, they give first opportunity to their own transport goods and commercial vehicles as opposed to passenger. Passenger service is at the bottom of the priority list. So if a freight train's going from Chicago to Toledo and a passenger train, an Amtrak, is going from Toledo to Chicago, the passenger train has to get out of the way and wait for the freight traffic to come through. That leads to delays, all kinds of delays. My son took a train from Toledo to Chicago, and what in a car is a 4 or 5 hour drive should be a 3.5 4 hour train ride was about 6 hours there and 9 hours back, because the train constantly has to stop and wait for all the freight traffic to come through. In Germany, it's the opposite. The federal government owns the rail system. They give precedence to the passenger service. Passenger service gets the best hours. The freight traffic has to wait for passenger service. And thus it runs more efficiently, more smoothly, and is just a much better experience. And of course, it's not a dream perfect world. There are delays, there are accidents, there are fires, there's electrical outages, like any other system, just like driving to work on the highway and there being a pileup or a crash and you're delayed for that. There's no real difference. And that's where, unfortunately, I don't see the American rail system ever becoming a integrated passenger service cross-country. We're too big. The private freight companies own the tracks, and precedence is given to freight travel, and we'd rather get in our cars and drive. I want it. After riding trains in Germany, I'd rather sit on a train than drive behind a wheel for 5, 6, 7 hours. But there it is. All right. So that's tonight's episode. Hopefully we will see you back for episode 7. Apparently I am supposed to ask you to subscribe and share this video. These videos are linked to my Facebook page, the HO Model Train Outsider. You can see the link below there if you want to get more in-depth about my journey through the trains. So we'll see you back for episode 7.